I'm so tired of waiting, said Camilla as they walked to the gym for their last period of the day. We received that signal a couple weeks ago, and we haven't received anything since. I'm kind of happy about that. Maybe the voice was wrong and we don't have to do anything, said Thomas. Don't be scared, said Camilla. We got each other, and we have been practicing for weeks. When time comes, we'll be ready. You playing today, Thomas? Asked Felipe, jumping into the conversation as they entered the gym. We could really use you. No, not today. The doctor said I need to rest from the seizure. Nothing physical for a month, replied Thomas. Things had changed for Thomas after that game. He was no longer being called Gringo. The other students were actually talking to him. He had won everyone over. At least that's what Jared thought. Things were looking up for him at school. Thomas and Camilla sat out PE and watched the other students play from the bench. Thomas got out his phone and started scrolling through his social media accounts. As he was scrolling, he noticed an interesting alert. Huge meteor spotted heading for Earth. Scientists have spotted a 10-mile-long meteor heading towards Earth. It is expected to miss Earth by less than 10,000 miles, one of the closest meteors to ever pass by. Camilla, check this out, said Thomas. Camilla read over the article. It's going to miss us, said Camilla. It's not a sign. They sat there on the bench, waiting for PE and the school day to be over. Once the whistle blew, they grabbed their school bags and walked towards the car to go home. My dad is running late. Can I get a ride home from you? Asked Thomas after receiving a message from his dad. Sure, said Camilla. They walked to her car, got in the back, and took off for home. As they sat there, a familiar feeling started to pass through. It hit Thomas first. He reached up and placed his hands on his forehead. Oh no, said Thomas as he grimaced in pain. It's happening again. It's okay, I'm here, said Camilla as she tried to comfort him, but stopped mid-sentence as the pain hit her. Just then, their eyes rolled back in their heads, and they slumped down in the back seat of the car. Thomas came to. He was back in the room with orange, blue, and red lights filling the once blackened space. Happening is now. Your people need you. Act you must. No time left, said the voice. Thomas looked over at Camilla, then to the mysterious person to his right, and back straight into the light. Slowly, a dark image started to appear in front of him. In the image, Thomas saw a huge rock flying through space with Earth in its sight. Act, you must, the voice repeated itself. The night will guide you, or there'll be no more. Just as before, the pain hit Thomas, and out he went. He woke up back in the car with Camilla to his left. She started to open her eyes. Wrong, Camilla shouted. It's not going to miss us. It's heading straight for us. Thomas and Camilla looked at each other with scared eyes. They both turned to the driver and yelled, Vamos! Go! The driver, startled by the noise coming from the back, turned around to look at the two. Okay? What? He replied. Vamos! They yelled again. No pode. Nos temos transito. I can't. We have traffic, he replied again. They looked out the window, seeing miles of traffic in front of them. They were stuck. They weren't going anywhere anytime soon. We need to leave now, Camilla said to Thomas. Follow me. Camilla got out of the car, and Thomas followed. They ran to the sidewalk to gather where they were. What do we do? Asked Thomas as he stood listening to the honking cars and people yelling out their car windows. The voice said, let the night guide you, or there'll be no more, said Camilla. What do you think that means? Asked Thomas. Camilla thought about it for a moment. All of a sudden, her eyes lit up. She turned to Thomas. We have to destroy it tonight. It's our only chance, she said. Let's go, as she started running down the street. Where are we going? Shouted Thomas as he started to follow. To the park. It's the only place with an open field to see the night sky, replied Camilla as she ran past others on the sidewalk. Why don't we take the car? Exclaimed Thomas. No time. This traffic is horrible. It will be faster by foot, she replied. So Thomas and Camilla took off, running blocks and blocks back towards their neighborhood. The more they ran, the lower in the sky the sun fell. By the time they made it to their apartment, the sun was about gone. Now what? Thomas asked as he bent down with his hands on his knees. It's about night. We need to go to the park, to the field, said Camilla, as she did the same. Thomas and Camilla stood there at the side of the road waiting for the light to change so they could cross the street and go to the park. Out of nowhere, a car honked their horn, and a passenger window rolled down right in front of them. ¿Qué hizo? What is this? Yelled Camilla's driver as he pulled into the apartment. Thomas looked through the window and back at Camilla. Really, Camilla? Wouldn't make it back on time? He said sarcastically. Just run, Camilla shouted as the light changed. She took off, crossed the street, and right into the park. When Thomas finally caught up to her, she had already found a spot dead center of the field. There are people everywhere, said Thomas. We won't be able to be sneaky about any of this soon. So be it, replied Camilla. As the sun disappeared and the stars shined, Thomas and Camilla started scanning the sky, looking for something that didn't belong. There's too much light pollution, said Thomas. The lights of the city are blocking everything. We have no other choice, said Camilla. This is the most wide open spot in the city. Just look. As they scanned the sky, Camilla noticed a star that looked a little bit bigger, a little bit brighter than the others. There, she shouted, pointing above. That's not a star. That's the meteor. How do you know? Asked Thomas. There are hundreds of stars in the sky. How can you tell? This is my park, and that's my sky. I know, stated Camilla. Camilla and Thomas looked at each other and then down to their hands. They both took a deep breath and at the same time said, the power is light. Their bracelets immediately started to light up. People who were enjoying the night in the park noticed the bright and beautiful colors illuminating from the center of the field and started to walk over to Thomas and Camilla. Looks like our secret is out, said Thomas. Who cares, replied Camilla. If we don't act, it won't matter. They stared up at the sky as people surrounded them. Remember how we practiced. Be clear with your thoughts, said Camilla. Just then, a chorus of buzzing filled the park. All the people who gathered around in awe of the light show started to shout, scream, and run. What's happening? Asked Thomas. Camilla reached down into her pocket and pulled out her buzzing cell phone. A text message appeared. Warning, warning, seek shelter now. Meteor strike imminent. Camilla looked up at Thomas and shouted, now! Orange and blue beams filled the night sky as they shot out into the atmosphere towards the meteor above. Without warning, Thomas and Camilla were thrown onto their backs in the middle of the field. We make contact, Thomas screamed as he felt the pressure of the meteor flowing through the beam. Why isn't it working? Yelled Camilla. It should have been destroyed by now. I don't know, but hold on, said Thomas. The two keepers slowly stood up and braced themselves against the pressure of the meteor flying towards Earth. Thomas looked up at the night sky and noticed the once small ball of light was getting bigger and bigger. It's getting too close, Camilla. We need to go, Thomas yelled. It's too late. No, we must stay and fight. It is our destiny, said Camilla. Don't give up. All of a sudden, the night sky filled with millions and millions of tiny shooting stars. The intense pressure placed on the beam of the keepers was now gone, and a sonic boom echoed out the screams of mankind. We did it, they both shouted as they turned off the beam. We did it. They stood there, hugging each other as millions of tiny rocks rained down over the city and the world.